I'm about to reveal something that might shock you. Something that 99% of seniors don't know. Something that could be happening inside your body right now if you ate eggs this morning. 2 eggs every day. That's all it takes, 2 eggs. And an irreversible process begins in your arteries. A process that cannot be stopped once it starts. A process that leads to one place: stroke, heart attack, sudden death. I'm Dr. Claire Whitmore, and after 2 decades as a cardiac surgeon, I've operated on hundreds of seniors whose hearts were destroyed by plaque. Plaque so thick I could scrape it out with my fingers. Arteries so clogged that blood barely flowed. And when I talk to these patients after surgery, when I ask about their diet, almost every single one says the same thing. I eat healthy, eggs for breakfast, oatmeal, fruit, just like my doctor recommended. And they have no idea that those eggs, those healthy eggs, created the plaque I just scraped out of their arteries. But here's where it gets complicated. Here's why 99% of seniors are confused. Because eggs aren't poison. They're not cigarettes. Some people can eat eggs every day and live to 90 with clean arteries, perfect health. But other people with a specific genetic trait that affects 25% of the population, those people cannot safely eat eggs, not even 2 per week. And most of them have no idea which group they're in. They're eating eggs blindly, hoping they're one of the lucky 75%. And one day, they're not lucky anymore. They're on my operating table, heart stopped, arteries destroyed, life hanging by a thread. By the end of this video, you're going to understand the irreversible process that eggs trigger. You're going to know which seniors can eat them safely and which ones can't. And most importantly, you're going to know how to test yourself so you stop guessing and start knowing. But first, you need to see what happens when someone in the high-risk group eats eggs daily for years without knowing they shouldn't. Let me tell you about Richard. Richard was 68 years old, retired engineer, health conscious, read all the nutrition articles, followed all the guidelines. For breakfast every morning, Richard ate 2 scrambled eggs with whole wheat toast and fruit. Healthy breakfast, protein, fiber, vitamins. Exactly what the nutrition experts recommend. Richard felt good about his diet. He was doing everything right. His doctor approved. Eggs are fine, his doctor said. The cholesterol scare was overblown. Dietary cholesterol doesn't affect blood cholesterol much. Eat your eggs. So Richard ate his eggs every single morning, 2 eggs, for 15 years. And he felt fine. No symptoms, no chest pain, no shortness of breath. No warning. He exercised, walked 3 miles daily. Weight was good. Blood pressure was controlled. By every measure, Richard was healthy. Until one morning, he wasn't. Richard was in his garage, working on his car. Normal Saturday. He stood up from under the hood and felt pressure in his chest. Not pain, pressure. Heavy. Like someone was sitting on his chest. He couldn't catch his breath. Thought it was indigestion, maybe the coffee. He went inside, sat down, tried to relax. The pressure got worse. Started radiating to his jaw, down his left arm. His wife saw his face. Pale, sweating. She knew. Called 911. Heart attack. Massive. The left anterior descending artery, the widowmaker, was 95% blocked. Emergency catheterization showed 3 more arteries severely blocked. Richard needed emergency bypass surgery. 4-vessel bypass. They cracked his chest, stopped his heart, took veins from his leg, grafted them around the blockages. Saved his life. But Richard's chest will never be the same. The sternum was sawed in half, wired back together. Every breath hurts for months. Every movement reminds him of what happened. But that's not the worst part. The worst part is what the surgeon told Richard after the surgery. After looking at the plaque removed from his arteries, after analyzing the type of cholesterol buildup, Richard, the surgeon said, "You have a specific type of plaque, cholesterol-rich plaque. Your LDL was dangerously high for years and we didn't know it. Your standard cholesterol test showed 180, normal, but your LDL particle number, which we should have been measuring, was off the charts. And dietary cholesterol from eggs made it catastrophically worse. If we'd known earlier, if we'd tested properly, this heart attack could have been prevented." Richard was devastated. But my doctor said eggs were fine, said dietary cholesterol doesn't matter. The surgeon shook his head. It doesn't matter for most people, but it matters enormously for about 25% of the population. People who are hyper-responders to dietary cholesterol. You're one of them. And nobody tested you, nobody knew. And those eggs you ate every morning for 15 years built the plaque that nearly killed you. Here's what makes Richard's story so devastating. Here's what should make you furious. The test that would have revealed Richard's hyper-responder status costs $40. $40. One test. Would have shown that eggs were dangerous for him specifically. Would have saved him from 15 years of plaque accumulation. Would have prevented a heart attack that cost $200,000 in medical bills and nearly cost him his life. But nobody ran the test. Nobody thought to check. They just said eggs are fine and assumed Richard was in the 75% who can safely eat them. But Richard was in the 25% who can't. And now he has a scar down the middle of his chest, titanium wires holding his sternum together, 4 bypass grafts that will eventually fail and need replacing, medications for life, permanent heart damage, all because nobody checked which group he was in before telling him eggs were fine. If this story is making you realize you need to know which group you're in, subscribe to this channel right now, because next week, I'm revealing the exact blood test that shows whether eggs are safe for you or building plaque in your arteries. The test name, how to order it, how to interpret the results, and what the numbers mean for your specific risk. If you're not subscribed, you'll keep guessing. Subscribe now so you stop gambling with your heart. Now let me tell you about Margaret, because Margaret's story shows what the irreversible process looks like at the cellular level. What's actually happening inside your arteries when you eat eggs and you're a hyper-responder? Margaret was 71 years old. She ate eggs for breakfast 4 times per week. Not every day like Richard, just 4 times. Everything in moderation, she believed. Her doctor checked her cholesterol annually. Total cholesterol 195, LDL 115, HDL 65. Perfect ratios. Your cholesterol is excellent, her doctor said. Keep doing what you're doing. Margaret felt validated. Her eggs weren't hurting her. The numbers proved it. But Margaret was wrong. Her standard cholesterol test was measuring the wrong thing. Total cholesterol and LDL cholesterol are useful but incomplete. They don't tell you about LDL particle size and particle number. And that's what actually matters. You can have an LDL of 115, which looks great. But if those LDL particles are small and dense, and if you have enormous numbers of them, you're at massive risk. Standard cholesterol tests don't measure this. Advanced lipid panels do. Margaret never had an advanced panel. Nobody suggested it. What was happening inside Margaret's arteries? Every time she ate eggs, her dietary cholesterol was absorbed in her intestines, packaged into lipoproteins, sent into her bloodstream. For most people, the body compensates, makes less cholesterol internally when you eat more, maintains balance. But Margaret was a hyper-responder. Her body didn't compensate. Dietary cholesterol just added to her total load. Her LDL particle number skyrocketed after eating eggs. Thousands of extra LDL particles flooding her bloodstream. And these particles were small, dense, the dangerous kind. Small, dense LDL particles can penetrate the artery wall easily. They slip through the endothelium, the inner lining of your arteries. Once inside the artery wall, they get stuck, oxidize, become toxic. Your immune system sees these oxidized particles as invaders, sends white blood cells to clean them up. But the white blood cells can't process the oxidized cholesterol efficiently. They become engorged, turn into foam cells, and foam cells accumulate into plaques. This is the irreversible process. Once a plaque starts forming, it doesn't disappear. You can slow its growth, you can stabilize it, but you can't reverse it completely. The damage is permanent. And every egg Margaret ate added more LDL particles, more particles penetrating her artery walls, more foam cells forming, more plaque accumulating, year after year, irreversibly. Margaret had no symptoms, felt fine. But inside her carotid arteries, the arteries that feed her brain, plaques were growing, silently, invisibly, Until one day, a piece of plaque broke loose. A small fragment traveled up to her brain, lodged in a cerebral artery, cut off blood flow. Stroke. Margaret survived but lost speech, lost the ability to form words. She can understand everything you say to her. Her mind is intact. But when she tries to speak, nothing comes out right. Garbled sounds, not words. She gets frustrated, angry, starts crying from frustration, can't communicate, can't express her thoughts, trapped inside her own mind with no way to speak. At 71 years old, because plaque from years of egg consumption built up in her carotid arteries and nobody caught it in time. Now, before I tell you the third story, before I reveal exactly which test determines if you're a hyper-responder or not, I need to address something. Some of you are thinking, but I've been eating eggs for years and I'm fine. This doesn't apply to me. And you might be right. You might be in the 75% who handle dietary cholesterol normally, but you might not be. And the only way to know is testing, not guessing, not feeling fine, testing. Next week's video reveals the exact test to order, how to interpret the results, and what to do if you discover you're a hyper-responder. If you're not subscribed, you'll keep guessing. Keep eating eggs and hoping you're in the lucky group. Subscribe now so you stop gambling and start knowing. Hit that subscribe button before I show you the third patient story. Because the third story is going to explain why even one egg per day can be dangerous if you're a hyper-responder. Let me tell you about Thomas. Thomas was 76 years old. He'd read the articles about eggs being rehabilitated. Eggs aren't as bad as we thought, the headline said. Dietary cholesterol doesn't significantly impact blood cholesterol for most people. Thomas felt confident eating eggs again, but he was moderate, just one egg per day. Not two like Richard, just one. That's conservative, he thought. That's safe. Thomas's doctor checked his cholesterol. Total 210, LDL 130. Borderline high, but not alarming. Let's watch it, his doctor said. Try to eat less saturated fat, more vegetables, but you don't need medication yet. Thomas tried. Cut back on butter, ate more salads, but kept his one egg daily. That was his protein, his breakfast staple. And he felt fine. 2 years went by. Thomas developed angina, chest pain with exertion, walking upstairs, carrying groceries. His doctor ordered a stress test, positive. Ordered a cardiac catheterization, found severe 3-vessel disease. His arteries were critically blocked. Needed bypass surgery urgently, before a heart attack happened. During pre-surgical workup, they ran an advanced lipid panel, something the primary doctor had never ordered. The results explained everything. Thomas was a hyper-responder. His LDL particle number was 2,400. Normal is below 1,000. Optimal is below 700. Thomas was more than triple the normal limit. And his apolipoprotein B, another critical marker, was 145, should be below 90. The cardiologist looked at the results and said, "How much dietary cholesterol are you eating?" Thomas said, "Just one egg per day. That's not much." The cardiologist shook his head. "For you, that's catastrophic. Every egg you eat creates an enormous LDL particle surge. You cannot eat eggs. Not one, not ever." Thomas was shocked. "But it's just one egg." The cardiologist explained, "For 75% of people, one egg is fine, but you're in the 25% who respond dramatically to dietary cholesterol. That one egg is raising your LDL particle number by 600 to 800 every single day. And those particles are building plaque that's about to kill you." Thomas stopped eating eggs immediately. 2 months later, they rechecked his advanced lipid panel. LDL particle number dropped to 1,600. Still high, but dramatically better. Apolipoprotein B dropped to 110. Better. Not optimal, but better. The improvement from eliminating one daily egg was enormous, but the damage was already done. Thomas still needed bypass surgery. The plaques built over years of eating eggs couldn't be reversed. Surgery was unavoidable. Thomas is 78 now, recovered from surgery, avoids eggs completely. His LDL particle number is now 900. Apolipoprotein B is 85. finally in the safe range. But he has scars, bypass grafts, permanent heart damage. All from one egg per day for years. One egg, that's all it took. Because he was a hyperresponder and nobody knew. Now you've heard 3 stories. Richard eating 2 eggs daily, Margaret eating eggs 4 times weekly, Thomas eating just 1 egg daily. All 3 were hyperresponders. All 3 built irreversible plaque. All 3 suffered devastating consequences: heart attacks, strokes, open heart surgery. And none of them knew they were at risk because nobody tested them properly. If these 3 stories are making you realize that you cannot keep guessing about eggs, hit the subscribe button right now, because next week's video reveals the 25 other foods besides eggs that trigger dangerous LDL surges in hyperresponders. Foods you think are healthy, foods your doctor recommends, but they're building plaque if you have the wrong genetics. Subscribe now or you'll only have half the information you need to protect your arteries. But before I tell you about the test that would have saved all 3, before I reveal which specific markers determine if you're a hyperresponder, I need you to understand something critical. Join our community. The link is below this video. Inside the community, we have over 300 seniors who discovered they're hyperresponders. They're tracking their LDL particle numbers, sharing their diets, posting before and after advanced lipid panels. And the results are extraordinary. Stephen eliminated eggs completely. His LDL particle number dropped from 2,200 to 850 in 90 days. Sarah reduced eggs from daily to once weekly. Her particle number dropped from 1,900 to 1,100. Still high, but better. Robert found out he's not a hyperresponder. He can eat eggs safely. His particle number stays below 800 regardless of egg intake. The community is where you'll find real people with real results. Real answers about whether you specifically can eat eggs or not. Join below. This is information your doctor isn't giving you. So what makes someone a hyperresponder? Why do 25% of people react dramatically to dietary cholesterol, while 75% don't? It comes down to genetics, specifically genes that control how your intestines absorb cholesterol and genes that control how your liver produces and clears cholesterol. Most people have genes that create balance. Eat more cholesterol, absorb less. Eat more cholesterol, make less internally. Eat more cholesterol, clear more from your blood. The system self-regulates. Blood cholesterol stays relatively stable, regardless of dietary intake. These are the lucky 75%. They can eat eggs, eat shrimp, eat dietary cholesterol without significantly impacting their blood levels. But 25% of people have gene variants that don't create balance. They absorb dietary cholesterol efficiently. Their intestines grab every molecule of cholesterol from eggs and push it into the bloodstream. Their livers don't compensate by making less cholesterol internally. They keep producing at normal rates. And their LDL receptors, the receptors that clear LDL from blood, don't upregulate efficiently. So dietary cholesterol just adds to their total load. No compensation, no balance, just accumulation. These genetic hyperresponders see dramatic LDL increases from dietary cholesterol. One study showed hyperresponders eating 3 eggs daily had LDL increases of 50 to 80 points. Non-responders eating the same 3 eggs had increases of 0 to 10 points. Enormous difference. Same food, completely different response, based purely on genetics. But here's the critical question. How do you know which group you're in? How do you test for hyperresponder status? There are 2 ways, the direct way and the functional way. The direct way is genetic testing. You can test for specific gene variants associated with hyperresponse, ApoE variants, CETP variants, NPC1L1 variants. These genes influence cholesterol absorption and metabolism. If you have certain variants, you're likely a hyperresponder. But genetic testing is expensive, not always covered by insurance, and it's not perfectly predictive. Some people with hyperresponder genes don't actually respond dramatically. Some people without the typical genes do respond. Genetics gives you probabilities, not certainties, so the functional test is better. The functional test measures your actual response to dietary cholesterol. And that test is the Advanced Lipid Panel. An advanced lipid panel measures LDL particle number, LDL particle size, and apolipoprotein B. These are the markers that matter, not total cholesterol, not even standard LDL cholesterol. Those are crude measurements. Advanced markers tell you what's actually happening, how many LDL particles you have, how small and dangerous they are, how much apolipoprotein B is carrying cholesterol into your artery walls. Here's how you test yourself. Get a baseline advanced lipid panel. Fast overnight. Get blood drawn in the morning. Measure LDL particle number and apolipoprotein B. Write down the numbers. Then eat 2 eggs daily for 30 days. After 30 days, repeat the advanced lipid panel. Compare the results. If your LDL particle number increased by more than 300, you're a hyperresponder. If apolipoprotein B increased by more than 15, you're a hyperresponder. If particle number and ApoB barely changed, you're a non-responder. You can eat eggs safely. Let me tell you about Patricia, because Patricia's story shows the power of this testing. Patricia was 69 years old, loved eggs, ate them almost daily, but she'd heard conflicting information. Some articles said eggs are fine, others said they're dangerous. She was confused, worried. She came to me asking, "Can I eat eggs or not? I need a straight answer." I told Patricia we'd test her. Get objective data. Stop guessing. We did a baseline advanced lipid panel. LDL particle number 1200. Apolipoprotein B 95. Borderline high, but not terrible. I had her eat 2 eggs daily for 30 days. Nothing else changed in her diet, just added 2 eggs daily. After 30 days, we repeated the panel. LDL particle number 1850. ApoB 125. Massive increases. Patricia was clearly a hyperresponder. The data was unambiguous. I showed Patricia the results. You cannot eat eggs. Your body responds dramatically. Every egg you eat adds hundreds of LDL particles to your blood. Those particles are building plaque in your arteries. You need to stop completely. Patricia stopped eating eggs immediately. 30 days later, we rechecked. LDL particle number dropped back to 1150. ApoB back to 92. Her baseline. The improvement was dramatic and immediate. Patricia is 74 now. Hasn't eaten an egg in 5 years. Her LDL particle number stays around 900 now with statin therapy. ApoB around 75. Optimal levels. Her arteries are protected. No plaques forming. No heart disease developing. All because we tested her. Found out she's a hyperresponder, and eliminated eggs from her diet based on objective data, not guessing. Compare Patricia to Thomas. Both were hyperresponders. Patricia found out through testing before damage occurred. Thomas found out through a heart attack after irreversible damage. The difference? Testing, knowledge, acting on data instead of assumptions. Now, let me address the question you're probably asking. If I'm a hyperresponder, does that mean I can never eat any cholesterol? What about shrimp? What about other animal products? The answer is nuanced. Eggs are uniquely problematic because they're cholesterol dense. One large egg has 185 milligrams of cholesterol, most of it concentrated in the yolk. When you eat 2 eggs, that's 370 milligrams of cholesterol in one meal. Enormous load. But other animal products have less. 3 ounces of shrimp has 160 milligrams, a small amount. 3 ounces of chicken has 70 milligrams, even less. So hyperresponders can usually tolerate small amounts of cholesterol from non-egg sources. The dose matters. Eggs are high-dose exposure. Most other foods are low-dose. And small doses don't typically trigger dramatic LDL particle surges, even in hyperresponders. But this varies individually. Some hyperresponders respond to all dietary cholesterol. Others respond primarily to eggs. The only way to know your specific response is testing. Measure your baseline. Add a food. Measure again. See what happens. This is personalized nutrition based on data, not general recommendations, not one-size-fits-all. Your actual response to actual foods. Let me tell you about Helen, because Helen's story shows what happens when someone tests, discovers they're a hyper-responder, and eliminates eggs early, before damage occurs. Helen was 63 years old, family history of heart disease. Her father died of a heart attack at 65. Her brother had bypass surgery at 60. Helen was worried, wanted to be proactive. She came to me asking for aggressive screening. We did an advanced lipid panel. LDL particle number 1400, ApoB 105, elevated. Not terrible, but elevated. I had her do the egg challenge. 2 eggs daily for 30 days. Rechecked. LDL particle number jumped to 2100, ApoB to 135. Dramatic response. Helen was clearly a hyper-responder like her father and brother probably were. We eliminated eggs immediately. Started her on a low-dose statin. 30 days later, LDL particle number was 850. ApoB 72. Optimal. 15 years later, Helen is 78. No heart disease, no plaques. Recent coronary calcium scans showed 0. No calcification. Her arteries are pristine. Why? Because we found out she was a hyper-responder at 63, before damage occurred. Eliminated eggs, treated aggressively. Protected her arteries before irreversible plaque formed. Compare Helen to Richard. Richard ate eggs until 68 without knowing he was a hyper-responder. Built 15 years of plaque. Needed emergency bypass surgery. Helen found out at 63. Stopped immediately. No plaque, no surgery, no heart disease. The difference? Early testing, early knowledge, early action. This is what I want for you. Test yourself. Find out if you're a hyper-responder or not. Stop guessing. Stop hoping you're in the lucky 75%. Know, then act on that knowledge. If you're a non-responder, great. Eat eggs. Enjoy them. They're not hurting you. If you're a hyper-responder, eliminate them. Protect your arteries. Prevent the irreversible process before it starts, or stop it from progressing if it's already begun. Now let me tell you exactly what to do. Step 1. Order an advanced lipid panel. Companies like Quest and LabCorp offer them. The test is called NMR Lipoprofile, or Cardio IQ Advanced Lipid Panel. It costs $40 to $100. Insurance sometimes covers it, sometimes doesn't. But even $100 out of pocket is worth it for information that could save your life. Step 2. Get baseline results. Look at your LDL particle number. Should be below 1,000. Optimal is below 700. Look at your apolipoprotein B. Should be below 90. Optimal is below 70. Write these numbers down. Step 3. If your baseline numbers are already high, above 1400 particle number or above 110 ApoB, you probably shouldn't do the egg challenge. You're likely already a hyper-responder, and adding eggs will make it worse. Skip to step 5. But if your baseline is reasonable, below 1200 particle number and below 100 ApoB, proceed to step 4. Step 4. Eat 2 eggs daily for 30 days. Keep everything else in your diet the same. Just add 2 eggs daily. After 30 days, repeat the advanced lipid panel. Compare to baseline. If particle number increased more than 300 or ApoB increased more than 15, you're a hyper-responder. If changes are minimal, less than 200 particle number increase and less than 10 ApoB increase, you're a non-responder. Step 5. Act on the results. If you're a hyper-responder, eliminate eggs completely. Not reduce. Eliminate. Every egg matters when you're a hyper-responder. If you're a non-responder, eggs are safe. Eat them without worry. Your body handles dietary cholesterol normally. Step 6. Recheck in 90 days after eliminating eggs if you're a hyper-responder. Your numbers should improve dramatically. Particle number should drop by 300 to 800. ApoB should drop by 15 to 30. This proves the eggs were the problem and removing them fixed it. Step 7. If numbers don't improve adequately after eliminating eggs, you may need medication. Statins are highly effective at lowering LDL particle number and ApoB. Don't fear statins. They're life-saving for people with elevated particle numbers. The benefits far outweigh the risks for those who truly need them. But here's what most people don't realize. This same testing protocol works for any food. Wondering if shrimp affects you? Test it. Baseline panel. Eat shrimp regularly for 30 days. Recheck. See what happens. Wondering if cheese affects you? Same process. This is how you personalize your diet based on your unique physiology, not based on general recommendations, not based on what works for other people, based on what works for you specifically. Now I need to address something critical. Next week's video is revealing the other 25 foods that trigger LDL particle surges in susceptible people. Eggs are the most dramatic. But there are others. Foods you think are healthy that might be destroying your arteries if you have specific genetic variants. If you're not subscribed, you'll miss which foods to test next. Subscribe now. Turn on notifications. Next week could save you from years of eating foods that are silently building plaque. And join the community. The link is below. Inside, members are sharing their advanced lipid panel results. Their before and after numbers. Which foods triggered surges? Which foods were safe? This is real-world data from real people. Stephen, Sarah, Robert, Patricia, Helen, they're all in there, posting their results, helping others interpret their tests. This is information you cannot get anywhere else. The bottom line is this: eggs are not universally safe. They're not universally dangerous. They're individually variable. 25% of people respond dramatically to dietary cholesterol from eggs. 75% don't. The only way to know which group you're in is testing. Not feeling fine, not hoping you're lucky, testing. Richard didn't test, ate eggs for 15 years, needed emergency bypass surgery. Margaret didn't test, had a stroke, lost speech. Thomas didn't test, needed bypass surgery from one daily egg. Patricia tested, found out she's a hyper-responder, eliminated eggs, protected her arteries. Helen tested at 63, found out early, eliminated eggs, has pristine arteries at 78. The difference between these outcomes is knowledge. Testing. Acting on data. You have that option right now. Order the advanced lipid panel. Test yourself. Find out if eggs are safe for you or if they're building irreversible plaque in your arteries. Stop guessing with your life. This process is irreversible. Once plaque forms, it doesn't go away completely. You can stabilize it, stop it from growing, but you can't erase it. The damage is permanent. That's why early testing matters so much. Find out before damage occurs, or find out now and stop the progression before it's too late. Share this video with everyone you know who eats eggs regularly. They need this information. Their doctors aren't explaining it. They're eating eggs blindly, without knowing if they're safe or dangerous. You can help by sharing. And subscribe because next week's video reveals the complete list of foods to test and the exact protocol for interpreting your advanced lipid panel results. Thank you for watching. Test yourself. Know your response. Protect your arteries. Join the community where we're all testing, learning, and protecting ourselves together. I'll see you next week where I reveal the other foods that matter and how to interpret your results with precision.